Well, an individual who's on a mission is not easily distracted because they're fulfilling their highest values. But so many people, I ask people sometimes in conferences, how many of you would like to be, financially independent? Everybody puts their hands up. And I actually did this little exercise one time. I had about 6,000 people. And I said, I want everybody to pull out a piece of paper, and I want you to imagine I just gave you 10 million pounds, right? And you have enough money to where you could live decently. And I said, now what would you do? You got 1 minute to write down what you would do if you got 10 million pounds right now. What would you do? And they go, on your mark, get set, go. And they wrote it all down, 10 things they would do if they had 10 million pounds. And then I said, now hand it to the person next to him, and let's calculate how much you have remaining left from your 10 million pounds. And most people who say they want to be financially independent immediately spent between 20 and 80% of that money in 1 minute with decisions to buy consumables that depreciate in values to make them feel better about themselves through other people's brands at overpriced, instead of building their own brand and buying assets that accumulated and allow them to work passively on their behalf. And as a result of it, they think they want to be financially independent, but they're actually wanting the lifestyles of the rich and famous that they're subordinating to, that they admire.
That's a powerful exercise. So by nature, they're not dependent. Their behavior pattern just shows by that exercise that they will never be dependent with that mentality.
Independent financially.
Independent financially.
No, the hierarchy of your values dictates your financial destiny. So tell me what your hierarchy of values are, and that's how your money is going to be spent. So if you have a higher value on Jimmy Choo shoes than you actually buy in stocks and real estate holdings, then you're going to keep buying the shoes and you're never going to get around. You'll have more money month at the end of your money than money at the end of your month. So it's not about how much you make, it's how you manage what you make, and the hierarchy of your values is dictating how you manage it. So I can tell by doing a value determination and look at how their values are, where they're headed, because it's determining their financial and their regular destiny. And if I know what that is, unless we have a shift in values, we won't have a shift in life.
And when you talk to people about being financially independent and creating money and wealth and businesses, it's never about the money, right? It's never about the balance sheet and the income statement. Is it always about the mentality?
It depends on the individual reasons for doing it, but the people I know, I always say searching for money without meaning leads to debauchery. But searching for wealth building with meaning and purpose in life that does something that serves leads to philanthropy. And I find that the people who actually have meaning when they get financially independent, they don't stop. They keep doing something that's meaningful, that contributes to the planet on an ever-expanding scale. In the Book of Wealth by Hubert Hale Bancroft, 1895, when that book was published, is handed out to 400 of the most wealthy people on the planet. And it said there were 3 things common to wealthy people. One is that they felt by divine providence and human sovereignty that the individuals that were wealthy felt, in a sense, called or destined to serve vast numbers of people. And they were literally thinking, how can we make a contribution to the greatest number of people with resources we have today most efficiently? They also felt like they were there not to accumulate things just for the sake of pride, but to accumulate things to invest in the highest standards, which would literally move the economy up to standards instead of mediocrity. And they did that because it would raise the standards of everybody's jobs upward. And then they also had transcended the idea of a good and evil perspective. It was neither good nor evil. It was just a means of measuring the contribution of sustainable fair exchange and transactions that impacted a ripple effect into society. And that state of mind was a different state of mind than I got to get my first millions, and they're focused on the kind of a short-term immediate gratification system.
Right, wow. So kind of like a higher purpose, giving value to a lot of different people. And then that last one is not one I would expect. There's not the good and evil, the good and bad.
Yeah, well, anything that you infatuate with occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. Right. Anything that you resent occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. Anybody who's tried to go to sleep with an infatuation on their mind, it's hard to sleep. Or resentment on their mind, it's hard to sleep. Because it occupies space and time in your mind and creates electronic and molecular imbalances in the brain, trying to find balance at night. And so anytime you have those imbalances, it runs you. So if your money is seen as evil or seen as good, you got the fear and the greed kind of thing. And as Warren Buffett says, until you can manage emotions, don't expect to manage money. When you transcend that and see neither attachment on it and have no fear of loss or no fear of the gain, if you're infatuated with it, you'll fear its loss. If you're resenting it, you're going to fear its gain. If you love it, you've transcended it, and you realize what you can do with it, and you see it as a measuring mechanism of the contribution you can do that inspires you, that makes a difference in others.
Yeah.